Thank you so much. Vedika, I think you should start.
Good afternoon, all present here. We are thrilled to have you join us today for this exciting webinar. My name is Boidika Biswas. Today, we have the distinct honor of hosting a distinguished guest speaker, Dr. Jayan Vasudevan, who will be sharing his invaluable insights on the topic revitalization of low-resource languages and the role of GIS. I also welcome Bhakti Ma'am, our placement officer, and all the attendees of the event. Now, without further delay, I would like to call Bhakti Ma'am to say a few words.
Thank you, Vedika. Am I audible to you all?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Welcome, Dr. Jayan Vasudevan, sir. Thank you for accepting our invite for this webinar. It is called as Wisdom Wave webinar series. This is, we have started this series in order to, enrich the students with bright highlights coming from the industry. Basically, the idea behind this is, they should not leave the academic touch. At the same time, they'll get practical inputs from the industry. Now, you have been a scientist in CDAC, and today we are all looking forward to take some nice inputs from you. Sir, I would like to quickly ask you one question. You have recently made one translation, right? So please give us some inputs on that also. The project that you've recently done, which says it's an English Malayalam translation project. I mean, did you use GIS anywhere in that?
No, no. Actually, basically, it's a English to Malayalam translation. There is no need of GIS kind of thing. It's a basically R&D project wherein we are developing a basic translation system.
Okay.
So in the future, if some other application level kind of things is coming, we are developing in the form of API, so
Okay.
that any future applications that we can integrate with that thing. So actually, it will be available in the Bashni platform by the Mighty and in the future.
Okay, great. It's it's wonderful to host you today at Symbiosis Institute of Geoinformatics, our campus, where you will meet all budding GIS analysts, and very soon they'll be hitting the placement season. So looking forward for your wonderful insights. So thank you so much for coming to us on a very short notice. That too, thank you so much. Last time I think we had kept one series, but it could not happen because of some time availability.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, looking forward for your input. So thank you so much. You can.
Yeah.
Okay. Vedika, I think she'll be giving the introduction, sir. Vedika, over to you.
Yes. Welcome, Dr. Jayan Vasudevan Desai. It is indeed an honor and privilege to have you amongst us. I'm delighted to introduce you to our distinguished audience. Dr. Jayan Vasudevan is currently working as a scientist and joint director in the Knowledge Resource Center at CDAC, where he manages the State Data Center in Germany. With a passion for learning new things and exploring new horizons, he has a diverse background that spans sociology, psychology, linguistics, computer applications, and artificial intelligence. Dr. Vasudevan believes in the immense potential of ICT development in social service, particularly in developing applications for the common man in India. Dr. Vasudevan has had an illustrious career at CIRA, in various positions, including Scientist E in Thiruvananthapuram, Principal Engineer and Deputy Director, Senior Engineer and Scientist B. His experience also includes teaching roles as a visiting faculty at Guntur Education, Malayalam University, this Institute of Indian Languages, and Central University of Kerala, where he has taught subjects like natural language processing, machine translation, and computational linguistics. Academically, Dr. Vasudevan holds a PhD from the National Institute of Technology, Karnataka, where he has also completed his Master of Technology in System Analysis and Computer Applications. He has a PG diploma in intellectual property rights from Indira Gandhi National Open University and a postgraduate certificate in workforce development and training from the Indian Institute of Management, Kozhikode. Additionally, he earned his Bachelor of Technology in Electronics and Communication Engineering from Elvis College of Engineering, Kasaragod. In today's session, Dr. Vasudevan will delve into the critical aspects of revitalizing low-resource languages and the role of NTIs. He will cover key topics, providing us with practical knowledge and actionable strategies that we can apply in our work. Whether you are an experienced professional or just starting out, this webinar promises to offer valuable takeaways for everyone. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Jayan Vasudevan to our webinar. We eagerly anticipate an engaging and enlightening session. Thank you.
Thank you, Baitika, for introduction, and Symbiosis for inviting me for this particular webinar. And Asmita Banerjee was following up many times on in LinkedIn and invited me for this thing. So basically, I didn't into the GIS, and when Asmita told me to integrate or kind of correlate with the GIS and machine translation, then I thought of uh, looking into that particular thing, how these languages and GIS can be uh, correlated, and I found a topic for revitalization of low resource languages. Basically, I will start with how I started my career and how I start with myself. Actually, my native place is in Kasargod district, where it is the where it is a conglomeration of 7 languages. And basically, my language is my mother tongue is Markodi language, and it is related with the Tulu language. So actually, initially I thought of my language is Tulu, and many of the people across Mumbai are speaking Tulu. Even the Aishwarya Rai, she is basically from my neighborhood, and she is having the mother tongue of Tulu. And later on, I thought that when I joined SIDAC Trivandrum is some extreme point of Kerala. I am at northern end of Kerala, and SIDAC Trivandrum is southern end of Kerala. And basically, after that, uh, I joined in a Malayalam medium wherein I was switching from one language to another language. So I shifted the my geographical location from Kasargod to Trivandrum, wherein I was interacting with the people only with the different culture and different language. So there in between, I done my higher studies in NIT Surathkal, wherein I was started interacting with the multiple people, many people with the multiple languages they're learning. I come to know about Kannada language much better than I had. So now I am well versed with Malayalam, Kannada, uh, Tamil, even Hindi, and thereafter I came to Jammu, and I am dating with uh, Dogri and Punjabi. So language is a kind of thing wherein there will be it is having multiple languages, multiple culture, many significances. When I so why languages is important is it's having so many it carries forwards many cultural aspects and many significant knowledge base. So I am starting with my this presentation. So you can see the CDAC Trivandrum is a premier R&D organization. This is the CDAC Trivandrum Center. It's situated in the greenery campus of Technopark, wherein it's in the top of the a hill in the Technopark campus in Trivandrum. So behind that, you can see also one building wherein I stays now. So CDAC basically founded in the year 1988 to build the supercomputer in the context of denial of import of supercomputers by the USA. So in the same period, SIDAC started doing R&D in multiple domains like language technology and control instrumentation, hardware design, and whole lot of technology wherein no other uh, the institution is taken part. So now we had so many multiple institutions, multiple centers. So wherein different kind of R&D activities are going on. Even nearby your campus, CDAC Pune is located. There also you can see there is around 5 to 6 kilometers away. So basically, I am working with the natural language processing, basically meant for the Malayalam. So what do you mean by natural language processing? It's basically a multiple domain wherein which it happens. The entire actually the basic uh, purpose of the natural language processing is to make the system or the system to understand, to communicate, to translate everything. So it should be like a people from different domain or different terrains or different countries is easily able to communicate with their own language without any hindrance. For that, what we needed. So for that, we require machine translation. For that, we require text-to-speech system where the text is converted into speech. We need a speech recognition wherein a speech is converted into text. And finally, if you are having merging all these things, we'll have a speech-to-speech system. You can see in the that image wherein a person speaking in Hindi and the other guy understands in English. So speaks in English and converts into English. So that kind of solution that already we have, and then in the domain of natural language processing, we also have the handwritten recognition system wherein a text written in hand, so that should be understood by the machine. So this is basically a process of converting an image into a digital format. Then online handwritten recognition, when if you are writing something in the tab or pad or something, then that will be converted into editable form in the that corresponding language. Then optical recognition, wherein if you scan something, then that should be recognized by the system and converted into digital format. So these are all the some activities involved in the natural language processing. So it is not a so simple kind of thing, because when we go considering a machine translation system, there are so many process involved wherein we need to understand a particular language, we need to understand all the grammatical structure of a language, and then grammatical structure is transferred to the target language. So whenever I say Hindi and English is the subject verb object language where subject comes and the subject, that the structure will be like that. But when in terms of Hindi, it is subject object verb structure language. So this is a basic thing in terms of structure. So here the structure changed In addition to that, when you talk of the southern language, normally termed as the Dravidian languages, so it is having so many suffix attachments. Even so, that is a great challenge for the machine translation systems. So I am not dwelling deep into these things. Now, what is a low resource language? So you can see in the picture, you can see most of the European languages, the American languages, they are having a large resources. Like say around 67 percentage of the English language, they're having the NLP solutions. And when you considering the population size of the language, the most of the population resides in the Africa and Asia, wherein they have limited number of resources for the NLP applications. But in terms of America and Europe and all, say like European languages and English, they are having less number of population, but their NLP solutions are very huge. There are multiple NLP solutions. NLP is a natural language process. So that is why most of the African and Asian countries are having the uh, low resources. That is especially for the NLP applications. So to build a natural language processing solution for a language, the most vital thing one needs is a data in that language. What is data in that language in the sense? It can be a text data, it can be a speech data, it can be a written data. So when you're talking of the languages, there are about 7,000 languages spoken by people across the world. But out of these 7,000 languages, only 20, that is how you can see that only 20 have the text corpora of hundreds of millions of words. So English is by far the language with the largest amount of data, and Chinese and Spanish following that thing. And then in terms of number of people speaking language, English is having number one, Chinese two, and Hindi is in third position. In other languages with the large data sets include Western European language, but Japanese also is having a huge language resources for NLP applications. So the majority of the languages spoken in Asia and Africa lack the training data that is required to build accurate state-of-the-art NLP systems. These languages are called the low resource language. Technically speaking, whenever a language is lacking large monolingual or parallel corpora, so mono since it, um, is a monolingual, and if you're having a translation Malayalam to English, then it's a bilingual. So if you're having more language, then we say that multilingual. Corpora is the collection of sentences, whether it can be a speech sentence or text sentences. So the collection of this data is called a corpora. So this is the essential thing for the statistical NLP applications. So when you're saying about the corpus and all, we need to represent it. So we need to have a font. So based on the fonts, is languages recorded. So when we say Hindi, it's in Devanagari script. So when we say Malayalam, it's a Dravidian language. So there it is having different script. Malayalam is its own script. Kannada is having its own script. So fonts are the voice of text. So, like voices, there are some fonts that are inherently better at communicating a message. So, there should be fonts to reflect the linguistic diversity. So, you can see in the olden days, people used to inscript on the stones, and in India and all, they inscript on palm leaves. So, there is a say, I had seen some video. So, why Indian language is in a round script? Because when you're writing the palm leaf, so if you're striking vertically or horizontally, the leaf may scratch out. So leaf having some that is like that one. So that is why there's some reason why Indian scripts are in round shape. So they need to write in a round shape in order to not the palm leaf should not be scratched out. So again, if you say that the Roman scripts are in a straight line, most of these scripts are fonts are straight line just because they were carving using this on the stones. So they're using tools, and also making a round shape is very difficult. So that is why it's in a straight line. So, and again, in some while discussion, some are saying that Arabian scripts are we are reading from right to left, because when you're carving, it is easy to carve when we are carving from right to left. So that is why all the Arabian scripts are coming in the right to left order. So there are so many things. So I'm discussing all these things, I am uh, telling multiple places, so that there is a relevance in places and age and all these things. When you so that is why GIS is always related with the places and locations. So when you're studying a language and then uh, correlating with the GIS, so we need to have any impression of a place. So place is having an importance in everything. So that is why I'm in each and every slide mentioning about the places. So when you say Dravidian languages, it comes in the southern region of India. When it's a Indo, we say Hindi and other languages. So that come in the northern part of the state. Even in the northeast also is even Bangla and are written in the Devanagari script only, but many other languages. So place is having an importance in languages. So that is why I'm specifically saying that there is an importance for the GIS in a language. So now I'm coming to the problem statement. So you can see different news headlines. There are 7 decades after independence, many tribal languages in India face extinction threat. So one headline: the silent death of the world's language, another consequence of climate change. Then another news from the Burma: 11 indigenous languages declared extinct. Education Ministry. So another one from: a language dies every 2 weeks. AI can help save them from digital extinction or accelerate their demise. India has lost 220 languages in 50 years. So Buddha's language is fighting extinction. So a decade to prevent the disappearance of 3,000 languages. So this is the problem statement wherein GIS can help in identifying the language, and language experts and GIS people can join hand in hand to identify many parameters of the languages and its how it can be preserved. So there are multiple parameters that can cause language death. So one thing that is written that due to climate change. So how this climate change affects the language, death of language. So when there is a climate change happens, people started to migrate to different locations. Even when I can say that I am shifted from my native place to another place, and I am married to a person from Trivandrum. So she don't know my language, and I am living away from Trivandrum. So my daughter is nowhere knowing about my language. So that is the way a language started to extinct from the earth. So if there are, because my native place, I think there are only about around 10 to 15,000 people are speaking this language. When they are getting a government job or something, due to many other factors, they used to shift from one place to another place, and even this particular language is not taught in the school. Basically, I studied Malayalam as my medium of communication, and studied Malayalam. So thereafter, uh, people won't learn their mother tongue. So they will looking for other language. That language started to uh, die in the due course of time. So another thing is all the languages, most of the languages, when you say 7,000 languages existing around the world, most of the language don't have script. They are communicated only through the uh, com- uh, only through communication all these languages. So when the people of this language is not able to communicate because of multiple reasons. So there is no spreading of this particular language, there is no improvement of this language. And in between, if I am going to some other location, I used to communicate with that language. And this particular language, uh, so getting more and more outside terms and terminologies. So there is a, normally it is known as code mixing. So when you say people around, even when you're saying in speaking in Hindi also, you used to uh, incorporate many English terms in between. So that is called the code mixing. So when code mixing occurs, so one particular language. So when you're continuously using that particular language and code mixing increases, so the one language dominates over other language gradually dies. So that is the kind of, that is I'm discussing about the climate change and even many other factors involved in this thing. So that we can assess and analyze and so when GIS mapping and all this can be done to prevent where the climate change happens, how the people shift, and all these things can be mapped. So again, my language is not at all recorded. So I started normally initially I thought that it's a Tulu language, so I didn't bother about that thing. When I dwell deep into that, I found that it's a some particular separate language by studying the characteristics of that particular language. It's a different language. So I proved that by different examples and how the language behaves. So that is a different language. So we know that there is some languages are existing. We don't know how many languages are there yet to found out. Many people are speaking this language, multiple languages, and we don't know how much language yet to identify. So that is also a task we need to that is required to preserve the rich culture and diversity of the uh, in every country or people. So again, these are the extinction or endangered language across the different continents. So we can see in Asia itself, Indonesia is having around 425 languages about to treated as endangered language. That is around 80 percentage of the endangered language resides in the 25 countries, and remaining 594, that is the 20% remain in the other countries. So even colonialism, globalization, and everything lead to the fast death of many languages. So, like in United States and even in Australia, there are so many local tribal groups are gone to extinction due to invasion of foreigners. So that led to many extinction of many languages. Even we know that in Andaman itself, there are some tribe people wherein there's only one or few people are speaking that particular language. If uh, in the extinction of these people will be leading to the extinction of that particular language. So again, why maps are there? Maps can make large amounts of complicated data easy to understand, and the amount of information does not change, but is more accessible. Almost everyone has an experience with maps in some form. Maps can elicit emotions and perceptions in ways text alone cannot. Even maps cannot acknowledge the relationship between language and space. So these maybe all these things you will be studying in your curriculum by you are using the maps. Basically, language mapping is the symbolic arrangement of information about language onto maps or parts of this physical world to understand relationship between languages, people, and space. So that is why I started with my story, wherein the space is having an importance in a language, how the language is developed or language is extinct. So it depends on language, people, and space. So mapping is an essential thing. Then So we can see the different language mapping across India. So this is how the maps represent languages are represented in the map. So you can in the round shape you can see how many languages, how families of language, where are they segregated, and where exists that language. So you can find maybe you may have already seen all these things, and it is available online. So digital mapping, as everyone knows, the production or adaptation of linguistic maps electronically. The digital maps are static or dynamic. It can be moving or interactive, non-moving. Digitally available maps are accessible to wider audiences. They can be updated, altered, and changed as necessary. Interactive maps can present multimedia and engaging information. That is the uh, fun of a uh, digital world, wherein you can do any kind of modification or any kind of suggestions so that it will be more interactive to the people. So engagement will be increased when you are using any AI technologies in the maps. So this is another representation of maps. So here also language maps, how it is represented across the world. So even in the olden days, people used to make the maps using hand. Then even thereafter, Microsoft Paint was there, Microsoft Word was there. So these are how the map making of the maps developed. So these are the kind of representation using the different technologies and even bare hands. So maybe in the afternoon you maybe feel sleepy and just invoking your sensory organization to make live. I put this slide. So this is basically a geographic information system wherein maybe I may not be want to explain what is this and all this. You may have already studied all these things, how the street data are represented, different kind of data layers involved in this, how the GIS. So how these all these integrated and finally put into a usable form in different applications. So basically, geographic information system is the scientific approach to understanding spatial phenomena. So any variety of thematic data that has geographic coordinates can be represented. Large amount of spatial data are created, modeled, archived, and disseminated using software packages, the variety of functions. So this is how a GIS is implemented using the digital world. So here you can see how you may have already aware of all these software technologies for mapping. So there will be a data collected data, then using the softwares, then we'll be embedding into the map. So how the GIS and linguistic cultural environment can be done. So mapping has historically been top down. Top down means a small group of people making imparts information on passive view. That is, uh, people won't be understanding actual figures, facts and figures in the ground. So on the top, we are making the map like Google is making a map. So we don't know actually what is in the ground. So even now, when I say in a language mapping, normally all the languages, in India, we have around 22 official languages. People are bothered, or government is bothered only about these 22 official languages. Even now, the government is make a single language kind of thing, Hindi as a single language. When you're saying all these things, when it going down, so we need to take care of all the languages wherein in say in Kerala itself we have uh, Malayalam is the major language, and there are Tamil speaking people, there are Tulu speaking people, there are Konkani speaking people, and multiple languages are there. And they are forced to study Malayalam language. So basically, what happens is many other languages are treated as the dialect of Malayalam language or Kannada language or Tulu language or any kind of thing. So people are not bothered about what other languages are. Just say classify it as a dialect of a particular language. So if you are saying a dialect, then people or government is basically thinking as a either it's a Malayalam language or Kannada language, Tamil language. So so that is why when you say that is why you are saying that top down is basically a passive view. So that does not uh, address the actual cultural view of all the people. Then indigenous minority groups are at the mercy of others' decisions. That is what I'm already communicating. Those who control maps control much of the public's knowledge. GIS can make mapping a bottom-up process by communities or groups. Now already many groups are already involved in making all these community groups that is involved in the local community to incorporate the knowledge. So knowledge can be mapped in culturally appropriate way. This is still an imperfect process because it takes time to learn GIS because uh, making the people learn GIS from the bottom is very difficult. Some application of GIS in language support. So by engaging and meaningful education, interactive multimedia maps can teach words and phrases, educating others about one's land and language. Maps communicate the presence of people and language, fostering pride and knowledge of traditional and historical space. Maps can reveal the relationship between language and space. That is what I'm throughout the presentation I'm communicating with you. Which GIS program work best for you? The language's history, current vitality and status, and attitude towards language use and support when you're designing a project out of uh, by integrating language and GIS. So you can look into all these factors: the community's relation with the majority societies, the community's access to computers, funding and training, communities members willing to work with the GIS projects, other related projects in community environment, the intended audience, the community members, public, government, etc. So now I'm coming to the challenges of low resource languages. It's the data scarcity. How the data is collected. Data scarcity means many of the languages don't have data in the digital form. For any NLP applications, we need a data in the digital form. It can be a speech data, it can be a text data, it can be written data. So there are many tools available for making all these resources in the digitally available form. Like when you say speech data, the speech data can be converted into text data by automatic speech recognition. When you say uh, text data in terms of written form, that can be converted into a digital form by optical character recognition. So all the technologies are available. And again, when you say data scarcity, um, some languages only in the form of digital form, they don't have any script. So a language without script, how it can be recorded in the forms of speech only. Then quantity of data, second point. So quantity of data means when you are using the statistical uh, application, statistical data analysis kind of thing, so you need a large quantity of data to train the system. So whenever I say some languages, you cannot simply put when I spoke about my language, so I cannot simply process the data and I cannot simply store the data somewhere because I need a resource for storing the data. I need a resource for collecting the data. I need to resource for collecting all this data. I know resource for segregating all this data. So that is a huge process. So there should be someone to fund the project. So that is another hectic task. We need to identify the right people and right project for getting all this data to be collected. Then linguistics and non-linguistic challenges. So when you're saying different languages, when I say Malayalam is having a huge complexity. Normally, it is known as the agglutinative language, wherein there may be more than 10 suffixes are attached to a single word. So processing by a computing system is a very difficult task. So these are the linguistic and non-linguistic challenges for any languages. See, when you're saying about English is only having 22, uh, 22 sorry 20, 26 number of characters. When you say Malayalam is having 53, so even more uh, structures are there. When you're writing, so the structures will be different. So there are so many complexities associated with the when you're writing and when you're speaking, and even say when you're speaking, you not speak in full. So that can be when you're speaking human to human speeches, they will understand even with without a complete sentence. So sometimes when you're communicating with a system or NLP application, so we need a complete structured, grammatically structured language to be understood by the system. So all these are the challenges in the linguistic side. Then code mixing. So if a person is conversant with the multiple languages, so there is always a chance of code mixing. So normally in Hindi, when Hindi and English, it's normally known as a language called English, where Hindi and English are mixed together. So even in Kerala also, when you say Malayalam and English, you used to say Manglish. When normally you can many that people in TV shows and all, you can see people are more than when you're speaking Hindi also, they're using more than 50% of the English word mixed with the Hindi. So that is known as a code mixing. Then a computational assistance for every language related process. We need a computational assistance. Okay. That is in terms of computing, storage, and everything. Then standardization challenges. So normally, you know that when if you want to communicate a language to multiple people, we need to have a already told that a font is there. So if you are using a font, if I'm inputting a font in my system, so somebody in the other place need to the same font has to be displayed in other system. For that, we need a standard. For that reason, it is not a 5 to 10 years. There is a Unicode community wherein they are for each and every language there assigned some Unicode, so that using this particular Unicode, this language can be visible in any places across the globe. So when you are saying the low resource language, so some languages they don't have any Unicode. So standardization needs to be there to have a unique code to record all this data. So in India, so only 22 languages are having the Unicodes. So all other languages don't have Unicode. So we need to have kind of standardization technology or method to record all this data to access and read and access by multiple people across the globe. Then data revision and updates. So every point of time there will be a revision of data, there will be any updates, then ethical consideration. So when you're taking a low resources language, so we need to have so many kind of ethical consideration to be done. So maybe some people may not uh, there are kind of copyright issues, and all this will come under this thing. Uh, Sometimes, uh, what is it? This traditional knowledge that cannot be. Some people won't allow others to take their traditional knowledge and copy. And also so many other these are comes under the ethical consideration. So when you say traditional language or low resource language, they are carry with so many knowledge, traditional knowledge with this along with the language. So that if you are losing that particular language, so that means they're losing so many traditional knowledges and informations. So finally, in conclusion, I can say the GIS can foster communities' knowledge and interest in the language and information and make this information more accessible. Many different software packages address different needs and goals. GIS requires specific training, skills, experience, and a lot of funding. There are alternatives that may incorporate GIS elements such as cyber cartography. So another is even yesterday I've seen a news that even Apple also come up with the Apple map, Apple Earth, like Google Earth. Apple also come with the new maps. So thank you. These are about my that presentation. It's a question answer time. I shown a map wherein how you can reach SIDAC Pune is the nearest place wherein a lot of researchers going on GIS and all. You can meet people over there also. Okay, now it's the time for question and answer.
Sir, we will be putting the questions in the chat box.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So you can answer all the questions from.
So I got a question from Mr. Ankit. Can you discuss the role of community engagement and participation in language revitalization effort using GIS? Actually, there are in Kerala, a lot of people like in a Wikipedia community. So we are in Kerala, we are having a community like Malayalam computing, Swadandra Malayalam computing. So wherein they are contributing a lot in Malayalam language as well as the other community participation and engagement in improving the language. So that kind of local, uh, even as a college in Bayers Institute, you can start a community and you can ask your people, say, your place is located in Pune, that's in Maharashtra, where a lot of remote areas are there. So you can, people coming from different locations are there. So you can find in your location itself, when you're coming in a rural area, you can find a location itself, you can find so many um, interested people working in the same domain. There you can collaborate with these people and you can start a group in your GIS community. So likewise, you can go along with that thing. So even in that, even college can conduct workshops in different locations over there. That also will do by participating schools, students, and children. What are the now, Mr. from Sohan Das? What are the challenges and best practices in ensuring the accuracy and inclusivity of GIS-based language maps? Challenges in the sense, when I say all these new languages and the low resources language, that the people speaking that language resides in a remote area. So they don't know about the technological aspects. So uh, somebody should take an initiative to reach out them, and we can have how these people, there are some nomads are there, so how they are moving, and all these things can be recorded. So it is not it's not a some one fine day activity. There should be a collaboration with the multiple stakeholders. So that is how one can, even my language, I just had some kind of interest in language, and that is why I tried to learn about that language and the properties of language. Then only I could understand that language is different. So when you're coming, people in the remote area, remote rural area, they won't bother about the importance of that language. Those somebody coming out of from their location, and somebody really interested in language only can understand the importance of the language and mark that language. Okay, then Vedika, we should ask as to what are the potential applications of reinforcement learning in optimizing the strategies for language preservation using GIS data. So potential application in the sense, uh, every language that is embedded with a culture, a knowledge, and when I say GIS information system is basically an information. Every information system will have a data, and from that data we are extracting the information. From that information, we are getting the knowledge. From that knowledge, we are achieving the wisdom. So when you say GIS, if you want to have a wisdom, so we need to have uh, a learning mechanism of strategies, uh, wherein each language we need to first assess a language, and what are the things that can be, or information or knowledge that can be extracted from that language. So when you're saying that any language, so there will be a cultural implication. There will be a traditional implication. So many of the traditional knowledge is lost due to extinction of many language. So we need to take into consideration all these factors. So that is why we are saying that any learning should have a purpose. So that all these factors is already available to us. Only thing we need to have a more data. How can AI and machine learning algorithms be used to create adaptive language learning tools that leverage GIS data for localized educational content? Even now, many universities are doing all these things. Actually, in Kalinga University, that is in Odisha, they are actually in Odisha. There's this particular university is especially created for the tribal people over there. So there, many and the issue with the tribal students is that they're having a particular mother tongue. They are not able to. They are and learning them in some other languages. So it is difficult to follow the curriculum. So there, what they had done? They have made the curriculum in their own mother tongue. Then there is a transition learning that is normally known as a transition learning, wherein these students were taught in their language, and finally they will be able to understand what the instruction medium. So this AI and machine learning algorithms, this can uh, you can create a kind of learning mechanism. So all these, you can, when you search in internet, you can find how the Kalinga University is doing the same thing. So this can improve the educational curriculum, and we can get the educational content out of these things. Okay.
So we are in the end of the program.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So good evening to all present here. I'm Ashmita Banerjee, and as we draw this enlightening webinar to a close, it is my esteemed privilege to deliver the vote of thanks. On behalf of the Symbiosis Institute of Geoinformatics, I extend our heartfelt gratitude to everyone who contributed to the success of this event. First and foremost, I wish to express our sincere thanks to our esteemed guest speaker, Dr. Jayan Vasudevan, for sharing his invaluable insights and expertise. Your expertise, experience in ICT development has provided us with a deeper understanding of the revitalization of low resource languages and the role of GIS. Your dedication and passion for this field are truly inspiring, and we are profoundly grateful for the time and effort you have invested in preparing for this session. I would also like to extend our heartfelt thanks to our esteemed director, Dr. T.P. Singh, and Deputy Director, Dr. Vidya Patkar ma'am, for their unwavering support and encouragement in organizing this event. Additionally, I wish to acknowledge the diligent efforts of our placement officer, Bhakti Tite ma'am, and our placement heads. A special thanks to our webinar committee, our brochure team, and the technical and IT department for the meticulous planning and execution. Their hard work behind the scenes ensured the smooth execution of this webinar and a successful experience for all the participants. I would also like to extend my gratitude to all the participants for the enthusiastic engagement and insightful questions. Your active participation and engagement have greatly enhanced the quality of our interaction, discussion, and added depth to the topic. Once again, I sincerely thank Dr. Jayan Vasudevan for his expertise and all the participants for making this webinar a resounding success. Your presence and involvement have made a significant impact, and we look forward to future engagements with all of you. Finally, I thank the Symbiosis Institute of Geoinformatics for providing the platform and support necessary for this webinar. Your continuous encouragement and resources are indispensable. In conclusion, I hope the knowledge and perspectives gained today will inspire further discussion, innovation, and collaboration. Thank you once again to everyone for making this webinar a memorable and impactful event. Best wishes to all. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for this. Bye.